Hit it.
Welcome to POLYMUSE. I am Michael, and this is the cousin.
What's up? My name is Ben.
We cover albums, going through the history, the nostalgia, and the breakdown track by track. We are starting season 1 with Linkin Park.
And today's episode will be...
And today we are running through Live in Texas, Linkin Park's first live album. It was recorded August of 2003. When did you first come across this, Ben?
Oh, probably in August of 2003. I never really listened to it. I think a lot of people skip the live albums of most bands anyway, but that's not what we do. We take every song from every album by our favorite artists. We do the complete rundown. We grade them A, B, C, D, E against the band itself.
That's right. I think I skipped this album too. If it wasn't new music, I didn't particularly care. But it was recorded in Reliance Stadium, which is now NRG Stadium. It was home of the Houston Texans, and it was opened in August 24th of 2002, so almost exactly a year before the concert took place.
Awesome.
And it broke ground for the Houston Texans franchise in the NFL, which is a new football squad there at the time. Originally built to hold just over 71,000 people. It had the first retractable roof for a football stadium. Now this concert also came, the CD also came with the DVD of the concert, and they did not max out capacity.
That's too bad.
I know. They had quite a few folks though. You could certainly watch the concert still on YouTube in its entirety, and you can certainly still find the DVD out there now that it's years past. And the numbers may have changed a bit because they do have the crowd filling, where the field would be, filling the field of the, a standing room only. So
right.
Maybe they did have quite a few people there, and then like the lower bowl, the lower section was filled, but you didn't have people all the way up in the nosebleeds, which is probably a good thing. Then obviously they had to close off the back end of the stadium, so there's no one looking at the back of Linkin Park's head. So
they got there though, man. I like to think of them as a stadium rock band. That's really kind of where they took this. When they started writing some of the later albums, especially, it's like they're really crafting just these super powerful, like melodic songs that are designed to like fill a stadium. It almost kind of reminds me of the band Queen. They're totally different in types of styles that they employ, but Queen also was known for blending a lot of styles, but then taking that just to the next level as a live show. Like just being able to create songs that can fill a stadium and just have a whole movement. It's almost like a Broadway show where it's like every song has to take you on that journey. And Linkin Park definitely understood that. Like they deserve to be playing these stadiums, and they took that challenge and started making their music that what's the word I'm looking for? Where it's able to touch that many people, all at once.
It's very emotional.
It's very emotional. It's very like visceral. It's very it's all about how they craft the melodies, and it's all about how they craft the set list, and it's just taking, because there's records that are weak and that would never work live, but it's just how they do it. It's how they craft it from beginning to end. And as we've said before, Linkin Park is always doing new versions of songs and rewriting the song and changing the song and fixing the song. So it's awesome that they were able to go that big and be in stadiums like that. So like now we got to take it to that level. Like we got to push it this far. And obviously I'm talking about, kind of their later studio albums and stuff like that, where they're trying to match this type of energy. But the point that I'm bringing it back around to is here's their first, live album release, kind of our first taste as fans and kids. We weren't going to go see these guys as kids, but, this is kind of what your first taste of like you said, they didn't fill the stadium, but they're obviously a stadium rock band, and like this is our chance to see them try to take it up to that level.
And it was early in their career, really.
Yeah.
They weren't the headlining group, but to join in the group they did here really early in their career was really something. This tour was the Summer Sanitation Tour, and it was headlined by Metallica. Brought in just over $90 million, an estimated $90 million, closer to 91.
It's a pretty good check.
Yeah. The first leg of the tour actually ran through 2000. Had bands like Korn, Kid Rock, System of a Down, and Power Man 5000. Had to Google that to figure out who that was, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I'm not sure. The rest of that is like all-star studded
that's a
lineup,
power
though.
lineup.
Yeah, holy cow. Especially,
to this day.
Yep.
And then the second group here, which is the group that Linkin Park performed with, was Mudvayne, Deftones,
Yes.
Linkin Park.
Yes.
Our favorite hot
That's
dog
like a
flavored
perfect
water
lineup.
group. Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
now they ruined it.
Yep. Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. The fourth man out of
Yep.
a trio of, yeah.
And then our headliner, Metallica. Yep.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible. That would have been perfect. I do think we were still a little too young probably at this point to be going to stadium shows and stuff like that. But yeah, that would have been very interesting.
Yeah. They performed back-to-back nights in Texas. They performed in Irving, Texas, at Texas Stadium the night after this recording happened.
I always wondered why it was just live in Texas. Like they could have named it something better, but
I believe the original plan was to take recordings and DVDs, a DVD recording, and then of both shows. And the CD is actually the exact music taken from the DVD video.
Yeah. Let's just explain that real quick. They don't have the same track listing. There's the DVD, there's the CD. But what are you saying? It's the exact same show?
It is.
It's the same.
Yes.
It's not the other show.
Correct.
Okay.
It
could have been.
It could have been.
But that's
it
not
is
what
not.
they did. Got it.
So the what was released was a CD DVD package of the show in Reliance Stadium.
Got it.
Yeah, that was it.
And it's great. It's great. They do good, dude. I didn't know how good they were going to do, and I didn't know how much samples they were going to have to use.
Yep.
And I'm still not sure how much of it was samples, to be honest, because I only listened to the record. I think if I watched the show, I'll probably be able to figure out like how much of it they're really pulling off without relying on a track. I mean, they're going to have some track. I mean, they have a DJ. I get it. But, he's got to be. They can cheat is what I'm saying, and I don't think they really do. I think they really do bring the live energy. They do have live drums on most of it. They obviously live guitar all the time, and they've got their own thing, dude. It's never going to sound like a normal band, but they absolutely bring a live band chops and energy and stuff to it. It's not like a DJ set at all. Like
Going back through it, I was impressed with how it sounds live. I mean,
yeah, right.
And just how really the vocals were the most impressive, and we'll start to go, through the tracks here, but the vocals were amazing. And that I think all the vocals are live through the entire project.
Right.
I think everything was live. I don't think there's anything
I wasn't even thinking of that.
manufactured.
But you're right. Most people sing to their own track these days.
They do.
They have a track on a record and they sing to it live.
Absolutely. And there's points where, Chester's responding, got that response back and forth to himself. Yeah, he's singing back and forth to himself in the tracks. So the breathing that he has in some of these tracks, because you think he's got to be energetic on stage and he's singing, but also the breathing technique that's involved with the vocals and all the energy he's putting in. And he's drenched in sweat 2 tracks in. I mean, it's Texas. You're heading into fall there, but it's still toasty. And there are 17 tracks performed, but there are 12 on the album. But they do perform for I think it is just over an hour, and he's drenched about 10 minutes in. But with all the breathing and the screaming and the jumping around, just the breathing technique between all the vocals is just impressive.
That's
I
a
think.
great point.
And I don't think you pick that up as much on the CD.
Right.
I think you'll pick some of that up, but you don't really hear him breathing into the microphone either, where you pick that up on some live performances. So it's just, it's pretty nuts, I think.
So they do their own vocals live, which, good for them. It's incredible that they're actual singers. Chester will never get enough credit for being a powerful vocalist. There's people that fake it. There's rock singers that fake it, but Chester's got he's got the pipes, dude. He really can control the sound that comes out of him. Like, he has complete control of his, like you said, his breathing and everything, which that is incredible.
It's just a really impressive performance.
And yeah, like we're saying, it sounds live. It doesn't sound, but it sounds as good as the album. So they found a way to pull off all the sounds without cheating, basically. I think. I'm pretty sure.
It sounded great to me. So we'll have to break
it sounds great. They really do. It's a good sound. It is different than the album. It's live, man. They pull it off, and I think they had haters at the time, who knew that it was a lot of tracks and a lot of pre-recorded stuff, and just people who didn't like this whole wave of music in general, where they started putting DJs in rock bands and stuff like that. But Linkin Park nails it. Like this, they take it as far as they can take it.
Yeah, and they obviously had respect from their peers with the groups that they're touring with, 4 years into their career here. So they obviously have respect from their
Linkin Park, peers. Mudvayne, Deftones. That's like an all-time. You can't beat that.
And we have Brad with his headphones as well on stage, which obviously you won't see on the list here on the CD, but he does indeed wear his headphones, as he does in every music video, every performance, all the time.
I Googled that to find out more. I just Googled, like, what is he monitoring all the time? Because a lot of bands will have the track or whatever, or the vocal track, but he's literally said, he's like, it puts me in my own zone, in my own space, so I have to wear them. But then they're like, yeah, but what are you listening to? Like, what is in the monitors? And he said, if I told you, I'll have to kill you. So
okay,
he won't tell us. We have no idea if it's the track or if it's the vocalists or if it's himself or if it's some kind of weird mix that, he needs to get into his headspace. But
he might literally be listening to a different song.
Oh, yeah, a totally different record. He's just listening to, like, Johnny Cash or something instead.
Don't know.
He won't tell.
Doesn't seem to throw off his live performance.
It's just weird. It's like, it's just weird. It's cool. I mean, it is, I'm looking at some of these pictures right here. They've all got earpieces. Like, they've obviously got a guy who mixes their ears for them and gives them, like, oh, I need the bass. I need to keep them focused.
Right.
That's not unheard of at all. Most bands at this level are going to have some kind of in-ear monitoring, but it's just that guy's on a different level, dude. It looks fine. Like, they look badass. They all look badass. That was my other question about this, was like, are they going to look cool? And they absolutely do. They, like,
very early 2000s cool.
They're not, they're not going overboard. I think there's some Jinko jeans on display here probably, and some piercings and some terrible tattoos, but I mean, they fill the stage. They've got the stage presence. That's what I'm getting at. I was wondering if they, being a band that's more about the studio and the track and the sample, I wondered what the stage presence was. And they have that too. Every piece of the puzzle is there, man. They're the complete package. They've got the stage presence and the good records.
Well, and from what I can tell, they did have the Roop open that evening. They filled out the field, so they had the field full of fans and the lower bowl full of fans, and they were all rowdy and excited, and they were middle of the lineup, I believe. So you had a couple bands to prep you.
Yeah.
Mudvayne and Deftones went first, I believe.
Good.
So you still had Limp Bizkit
Oh,
and
God, they
then Mudvayne.
ruined.
I know.
Limp Bizkit goes first. I don't care.
I know.
Metallica has to go last.
You know, they really just should have named the band Hot Dog Flavored Water. That would have been fine.
That's how I always think of that.
That's how I started
It's their
my notes
legacy.
for this podcast was the Hot Dog Flavored Water banks. I couldn't remember what they're called.
Yeah, those guys.
Well, you'll never forget them.
I forget them all the time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I know some dudes who are really into Limp Bizkit, and there's something there. They had their own thing, but I don't need that in my Linkin Park podcast. Thank you very much. This is not the same level. It's not the same.
But the point is, for this live performance, fans have already been cooked up. They're ready to go. A couple bands down, a couple more to go. They're middle of the lineup. Look like General Admittance. So they had some mosh. What are they called? Mosh circles? I obviously know mosh pits.
Yeah, like a circle pit. They were doing circle pits.
Yeah,
awesome,
I thought they had
awesome.
another special name, but
Circle
I can't think
pit
of
is
it now.
fun. I dream and hope for a day where the mosh pit will come back into reality, man. I love a good mosh pit. I wondered if people got rowdy at this show. Obviously they do, man. There's some of this stuff. It's all about the rhythm. It's all about the rhythm. If there's certain rhythms where you have to mosh to it, and if the band can lock in and deliver on and hit it right and continuously hit it, you got to do it. It's a contract of if they can provide it, the correct moshing atmosphere and rhythm, it just erupts, dude. I love that kind of thing. But yeah, they get rowdy, right? They got to. They have to. Some of these tracks are the perfect.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Oh yeah. And we'll walk through it for you. the what's going on here. So, all right, let's dig in. Live in Texas.
Live in Texas. No skips. Track by track. Are we gonna? I was thinking, should we give these the letter grades? I don't know. Is it fair to put them on the same tiering system as the real album? I'm not sure.
We don't have to. I mean, would they go on your main album anyways? Would you put a live version of Somewhere I Belong with
point.
Somewhere I Belong?
Right.
So I wouldn't worry. I think we should.
That's a good point.
It's up to you, but my opinion is we should evaluate this both as a live performance, a little bit different, both as a live performance and how they sound. Both just how it sounds as the album now, as you'd be listening to it 12 tracks, and both how they sound as like a live show.
Yeah.
Because that's how it was meant to be recorded. It was meant to be. You have to remember, it was meant to be digested as a live show. Like the package was you watch the DVD and then you take the tracks that they extrapolated on the CD with you and listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it was packaged, even if you stream now only the album. Like it was meant to be a full experience. So I think we should kind of tackle it as a full experience. They do a good job of hopping right into the first track, which is Don't Stay, and then rolling on from song to song to song and not interacting with the audience, which I think is a good thing.
That's the way to do it.
So just roll from song to song, get everyone hyped up.
Don't tell jokes.
Yep. Exactly.
The song should be the message and the energy. If you got to tell jokes and explain stuff, it's like you should be able to communicate just the notes that you already wrote.
Yep. So they don't really engage with the audience towards kind of the back half to kind of get them more hyped. So they hop right in with Meteora track 2, 3, and 4, which is Don't Stay, Somewhere I Belong, and Lying With You, which kind of clicks in your brain because that's the order you'd hear them in the album.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is a good way to do it, is to some songs that you'd recognize as hearing in a row, especially at that point when you were still listening to CDs.
And it obviously works in terms of having the energy moving and building on itself and stuff like that.
Exactly. And there's a few other points where they'll go in order of certain tracks from certain albums. But I think that was a good way to start.
Yeah, starting with the new stuff, but it fits right in. I mean, it's as catchy. Hybrid Theory and Meteora, they're only pulling from 2 albums, and they're starting with the new cuts, but it's still got the same vibe, the same energy when they bring it live like that.
Yeah, and you got to start mixing your hits in the middle and then towards the end. So, but they do a good job mixing the new material in, and I like that they do tracks that you'd hear consecutively off the album to start with to kind of get your brain clicking that that's what you're used to hearing. You can kind of get amped up for it to start the show.
And take the journey.
All right, so we just took a listen to Don't Stay that they popped on stage. That was the opener, Somewhere I Belong, and Lying From You, Meteora track 2, 3, and 4, which had just released. And they come in high energy. We have the front couple rows there jumping up and down. We have a circle mosh pit going.
Yeah, they're getting rowdy off the bat, man. They're bringing the energy.
We have Mike and Chester jumping around. We've got Headphone Brad,
in his own zone, listening to like horror music or something.
Yep, and Phoenix as well on the bass, and we have
Mr. Hahn.
Mr. Hahn scratching away.
He's got the energy, dude. You'd think the DJ would be the least energy, but he's doing it all, man. He's really rocking and rolling.
He's putting a lot of work in for spinning records and running a few samples.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure, like I said, I always try to figure out like how a band puts their sound together. It looks like he's triggering a lot of the samples live, like on the beat with a sample pad, which is cool. And he's doing the scratching live too. He's got like one of those digital vinyls where you can put like whatever sound you want and scratch it. And I do think that the drummer is using a track. I'm pretty sure there's like extra hi-hats and stuff going on, and that the drummer's just kind of hitting accent notes to kind of add that live feel. But it's cool. It's whatever. They're not overly reliant. It's definitely, like we keep harping on, it's got the live feel to it nevertheless, and it sounds great, man. The vibe is amazing. I just love a band being able to conjure a sound. That's what I'm so into about bands, where it's like these guys, it's like a magic. It's like they create a sound that would never have existed. It only exists while they're doing it. Like it's live creation that they manifest. Like, and it's dope that they've got 6 members and that they're all putting in so much work like that. And you got the 6 different sounds going on, and they just bring it, dude. It's a great stadium rock sound. It works.
And the energy is top notch. You do have Mr. Hahn. You do have the drums on an elevated. They're both on elevated platforms behind the main kind of stage area a little bit, so you can see them from afar. And then guitar, bass, and then the 2 vocalists, Mike and Chester.
2 vocalists. Yep. Amazing.
Yep. Up ahead so that they can jump around and move around and have more freedom for stage presence. But the vocals are spot on. I mean, they're excellent. Mike's rapping, Chester's singing, and the screams are excellent.
Yep.
And that's something you'll have throughout the whole live performance, live CD. I mean, that's the key. Even if you have some samples just to keep you spot on, and then you're adding the live elements. I mean, that's the key. If the vocals aren't right, you're screwed. So
yeah,
that's just
yep. That's what most people key in on. So yeah, they got that. Chester nails it every time. A lot of bands like this would, skimp on the screaming and be like, yeah, they get it. They know the song. I don't got to scream it every time, but he does. He does.
He doesn't have the audience do it for him.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
They probably do a little bit of that, but yeah.
Right. But he holds the note all the way through. He doesn't cut the note early.
Right.
He doesn't, take a breath in between and hit the note again or do any of that,
He plays
cheap
it like
stuff.
an instrument. He plays it like an instrument.
And exactly like it was written and how it was recorded on the album. So exactly like an instrument, exactly to the beat and exactly how it was recorded and meant to be listened to.
So yeah, cool group of songs there. They all kind of lead into each other. They're nailing them. We're gonna take a look at some more of the songs from the DVD. We're basically gonna go through the track listing and kind comment when there's something interesting that goes on. Obviously, already we've seen Mike Shinoda pick up a rhythm guitar and play along. I think he plays some keyboards and stuff like that later on too. And there's obviously songs where he's more of the front man, kind of doing more of like a rapper style of performance. And I just love that kind of thing where you've got multi instrumentalists and people who can play different stuff and just set up 100 instruments on stage and just do different. They don't go that overboard with it, but I just love that kind of a thing where a band can branch out like that. And they've obviously got the money and the talent and a good stage crew who can, like, okay, now wheel out the guitar, okay, now bring out the keyboard. Like, even that, people don't really think about the stagehand aspect or the guitar tech aspect. When you've got a guitarist in your band, you're gonna have a full-time guitar tech who changes the strings and plays the guitar to break in the strings.
Yep.
And keeps it in tune so that he can just hand you a perfectly tuned guitar with new strings but broken in strings.
Right.
And a lot of bands will use 4, 5, 6, or a different guitar on every song, like whatever they want to do to get different tones or different styles of guitar going on. But you see the end product and it seems easy, but you don't think about how many how many jobs are going on here, how many different audio mixers and engineers they must have, for the mix coming over speakers, the mix going into the monitor, all kinds of different stuff that's being controlled, and technicians that tune the drums and set up the mics. Usually those guys are going to tour with the band and work with that band exclusively, but you've also got guys that work for the venue, guys that work for the touring company. It probably works different ways every time, but it's just cool to see a band at this scale, like this many lights and this much instruments going on, like a real high caliber music act like that. It's amazing. It's a whole industry. It's a whole army of people that are put together to make something like that really happen like this.
Next up, the next tracks they perform, really the third, fourth, fifth tracks, and they're all on the CD, are from Hybrid Theory. They go back to their debut album. They hit track 1, 4, and 6, Paper Cut, Points of Authority, and Runaway. All right, so
next up in the track list, what did we hear? What did we watch and view with our eyes and ears?
All right, so we just checked out Paper Cut, Points of Authority, and Runaway off the debut Hybrid Theory album. Paper Cut, obviously a big track because it was the first song off of Hybrid Theory, the first track many folks would have ever heard of Linkin Park, and just a heavy song, and that would have been the first taste you would have ever heard of Linkin Park. Like, this is a heavy group, I like this. Mm-hmm. That would have been the first hook you ever got. So a very big track for a lot of folks.
So they're going to the hits, going for the hit, track 1 hit.
Going to the hits, more great vocals. Fans are feeling it. We got rowdy fans. We got shirts off.
Yep. People bouncing to the beat.
Yep.
They get down, dude. Phoenix gets down. He crouches all the way down on his knees and like throws picks and like high fives people. Like, he gets all the way down. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mr. Hahn pumping his fist. He's like switching records and stuff. I'm not exactly sure why, because he's got like a digital record, but there's obviously samples that he needs from the vinyl too. I don't know why, but so that's kind of cool. They do kind of rely on the track a little bit more on Points of Authority. There's some like backwards like record spin stuff, and they got the lead guitar on Paper Cut was also pre-recorded. Brad's just playing the chugging like rhythm stuff, and the lead guitar's coming out of the track. But again, I do think Mr. Hahn's triggering them on beat, and that it's not just like a completely pre-recorded thing. And it's just cool. I'm not knocking it at all. It's just interesting to me to see how it's put together and like what they're actually, what is really coming out of their hands, and what is the rest of it. So it's cool. It's they kind of bridge that gap, and They cheated a couple times on these, which, you know, maybe they could have found a different way to do it live, but they pull it off, and these are good. These are good. Paper Cut's good.
It's good. It's good stuff. Mr. Hans always got his sunglasses on.
Yeah.
He's very active though.
Yeah.
And his scratching. It's good to see the whole group very active. And yeah, these are just big tracks because they were the first songs you would have heard from Linkin Park. So although they lead a little bit more on, certainly not what they're actually playing on this, more the samples and the backing. The energy's good, and I think that's important in a live performance because these are so big to a lot of the day one fans.
Yeah, absolutely. So then they switch it up and play 3 more Meteora songs. So we're going to check those out. So we checked out Faint and From the Inside, the next 2 tracks up from the DVD. Pretty cool. They knock them out of the park again. Sound great, man. It's cool. Chester like climbs up on the DVD, climbs up like behind the rest of the band. He's like standing above them like an angel, dude. It's incredible. And like Mike is like center stage and taking the kind of the front man role, but then they like cut to Chester and it's like, oh yeah, we've got this other singer up there also holding it down over there. Like it's just like a 3-ring circus at that point, dude. Like musically though, not, they don't have elephants and crap. They have the sound that they can create. And again, they do rely kind of on the track a little bit on this. They basically they've got like the drum loop sample, and it sounds a specific way. Like it has to sound like the crazy like affected drums on the record. So they like play the loop, and then the drummer plays like thrashy stuff over it is basically the pattern that they're going with here rhythmically. So they've got that kind of full palette of percussion sounds coming out where it's the weird glitchy, you know, where the snare drum sounds like a buzzsaw or whatever they're doing. But they just do both essentially on these last couple songs, and it works. It fills out the sound, but it keeps it sounding like the atmosphere of the album as well.
We got some great harmonizing with Mike and Chester.
Yeah, they should do it more.
Yeah, they should. We have Lars Ulrich.
Guest appearance from Lars.
Yep. And I think it's a bunny hat. Some kind of pink hat and Hulk gloves popping out from the inside. And we have some great screams from Chester on the track as well, where looks like he's having convulsions. Letting out the screams.
It's funny when Lars, I just want to mention, it's funny when Lars pops out. It's cool to have a cameo, but he's so narcissistic that he has to be center stage during the opening act for his band. Like, I mean, I get that he's just goofing around, but I don't know.
Well, has to have his time before his time.
He's got to be center stage for their show. So, cool. Good job, Lars.
Yeah.
Go practice the drums.
So the next set of songs are not on the CD. They do perform Figure 9, which is off of Meteora, With You, which is off Hybrid Theory, and By Myself, which is off Hybrid Theory as well?
Hybrid Theory,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the crazy one.
That's right.
By Myself is the insane one where they just clip every vocal, and
that's right.
The buzzsaw one.
Yeah, so those 3 songs are actually next in the show and on the DVD. They are not on the CD, though.
They cut By Myself? 3. What the heck is wrong with that?
I know.
Let's see. Maybe they screwed it up. Probably not. It's probably cool.
It sounds...
I would not have cut that one.
A little different, a little bit different sounding. We'll cover it.
Let's check it out right now, right in front of your face. So we checked out the next 3 songs. We get Figure 9, With You, and By Myself. Pretty cool. Pretty much like the album. By Myself is a lot different. They start with kind of like a clean intro to really kind of throw you off and really set up. Because By Myself, as we've said, definitely their most intense, craziest song. I loved that song as a kid a lot. Even stood out even from the other intense music that they've got as just being like the crazy one. And yeah, the screaming on this is nuts.
Yeah, it's a great kind of change up to kind of drop it down for the intro and build you back up. And I also feel like it kind of sets the tone for like the second act as we're hitting the back third of the album and the performance really. So I think that's good to to kind of switch it up. Screaming is excellent.
Yeah.
He does.
And it peaks. Like he took it high. Like he's already been screaming at a 10.
Yeah.
For an hour of music or whatever it is. And it's like, this is the crazy one. So you got to go higher than a 10. And he does.
He keeps it pretty consistent. I think there's one where he drops out a little bit, but for the most part, he's able to keep it pretty steady. But By Myself is a pretty fantastic track. It's unfortunate that it did not make the CD, so it wouldn't make your Spotify playlist or anything like that, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's silly. That's goofy. Maybe it was too good. Maybe you had to buy the DVD. Who knows?
Maybe.
We're checking out this DVD. I'm not sure. It looks like they did wear the same clothing for both nights of the Texas shows to allow them to edit in between. We're trying to catch them doing it. It looks like we're not sure, but I think they did kind of cut between at least different pieces of footage. There's parts where the footage doesn't match the music at all, and we suspect that we know that they have said they wore the same clothes both nights, and a lot of times that's done so that they can it's like coverage shots. Like if they get a screwed up shot on them, they can always cut to the other night. It doesn't have to match. So just interesting, just little tidbits, trying to see how it was all put together like that.
Yes, they performed. So the recording in the first performance was the August 18th. So the following night, August 19th, they performed in Irving, California. So they were able to splice what footage they needed to from that show in. So the next two tracks, which are both on the CD, are Pushing Me Away from, Hybrid Theory, but this is really the kind of reanimation version.
Yeah, and super cool that they did that. We'll talk more.
Yep, and then from Meteora. So Pushing Me Away, we opens with some great harmonies from Mike and Chester.
Mm-hmm.
And they also keep some of the background chatter noise sample as well that you hear from the original track.
All of them like talking all at once like demons.
I thought that was a nice little touch as well.
Yeah, that's a cool sample to have going on. I want to mention too some of the stuff, the like in between banter, like Chester shouts out the audience, which I think is really cool. And he says like to any musicians or artists that are out there, he's like, we were once like you, like not too long ago, and now we're like on the other side of the aisle. And I just think that's really cool and really self-aware of them to kind of flip it backwards and do a shout out back to the audience. In this, there's a lot of vanity or whatever once you get to that level, and it's pretty intelligent of him to do that. So that's cool. And then they dedicate Pushing Me Away to the fans, and then they do the reanimated version, which is super cool. So that's them. They basically had to learn it from the track at that point, because the way they reanimated them by sending out all the stem tracks and then having outside producers kind of work on it for them. And Mike worked on it too and all that. But, this is them like learning it after the fact as like a remix. And that's super dope. That's a really cool way to make a song. It's cool that they put in that extra effort to relearn the song.
To kind of put something new into the performance. It's also a good place in the live thing to kind of bring it to kind of connect with the fans. And this version of Pushing Me Away is also the more mellow version, whereas the original Pushing Me Away is very high energy, another just high energy, high kind of tempo, kind of up there track. And this is the more mellow version, kind of pushing you into Numb, which is a little bit more high energy again. And again, we're building towards the end of the show.
But yeah, this is like the infinite build up, like vamp version of Pushing Me Away, where they just keep going through the riff, keep going through the riff, keep going through the riff, little more intense, little more intense. And truly talented band, like that's the real talent of playing music with dynamics. Is like most bands, they can play loud or they can play soft, but it's like doing all the layers in between and being able to ramp up and ramp down and subtly ramp up like that and not just go from quiet to loud. That's the real talent, and that's the real craft of this type of music. And it's cool that they're operating on that level. This song is definitely hard to play, like, and it just keeps getting more intense. They never blow it. They never go overboard, and that's pretty damn good.
Now, when we head into Numb, we do get Mike on the keyboard, which is nice. It does get drowned out when they head into the choruses, which, you know, I hate in live performances. I like when they can add keys, when you can hear them, or, you know, depending on the instrument, bring in different things. But I really hate when you just get drowned out. I understand it for appearance and for effect, but I just feel like those energies can be put to other use if you're just going to get drowned out anyways. And you could leave that piece to a sample and add something else someplace else. I just always watching a performance when you're adding something like the keys and half the time you can't hear them. I don't know, that to me always defeats the purpose. But it's nice in the couple spots you can hear them.
It does sound good. I wish he had played a lot more. He kind of half-asses it, but it's whatever. They're getting the keyboard in there, so but yeah, I know what you mean. A lot of times the keyboard just ends up adding kind of white noise and just extra texture that you can't even really hear or pick out, and it does kind of seem like they suffer from that on here, but yeah, he can play keys too and guitar. That's pretty cool, but he should have played a lot. It sounded so good. I wanted him to play more.
Yeah, we do see all his talents on display throughout the whole show, that's for sure. And we're in the home stretch here. We wrap up with Crawling in the end. A Place for My Head, which actually doesn't make the CD as well, but we do get Crawling in the end, A Place for My Head, and One Step Closer.
Cool.
The Crew.
So what did we hear in that last set of songs here to round out the Live in Texas experience? What do we got?
We've got Crawling.
Yep.
Where we finally have some... Well, we had a little fan participation, but we have some real fan participation here.
Mm-hmm.
Joining in the lyrics.
And they sing it right back to him. As depressing as it is, they make it so catchy, and it just sounds good.
Yep.
And it's just insane to me. They're just chanting, crawling in my skin, like just these dark, dark lyrics.
These fears they will not heal.
And, you know, all the kids are chanting right along with it because it just sounds so good. It's kind of the first time where they let the audience sing along, and you know, he does the "I can't hear you," people in the back, like all the trope. They know how to do it. They know how to play it up. It's not cheesy. It's just how you do it. It's how you work the whole stadium, and they do a lot of that kind of stuff here. Finally, after Crawling, they do In the End. A little disappointing that they didn't play the main piano riff. It seems like it's definitely sample. It looks like Joe is like triggering the samples somehow, but it would have been cooler if they played it on a keyboard, which they did like in the last song, because it's like the main riff of the song. The sample should be extra. It shouldn't be the main riff of the song, but that's just how they did this one, and it's pretty cool rendition. Probably, yeah, definitely their biggest hit at the time.
Yep.
There's probably people in the audience who only knew this one out of all of the songs that they had just heard. So it's kind of cool that they still have two more after this, kind of more for the fans as well, to keep the night going as well. They do Place for My Head.
Place for My Head did not make the album, but is on the DVD.
The drumming sounds great in this one. Like the layers of drumming, it just sounds awesome.
Yeah, Phoenix almost falls down in the live recording in the middle of this song. Just a fun piece. Funny they kept that in there.
I still don't get why they cut any of the music from the album. It's only a 70-minute concert, which absolutely fits on a CD. So I don't get what they did. I don't get why would they cut any of it? Because it was all mixed. It all sounds like it was mixed the same. It sounds great. So why? So what the heck?
Uh, I don't know. It's a mystery. But yeah, we got Place for My Head in there. And we close on a one step closer with a nice build up to get the crowd involved for the closing vocals, closing screams.
And Brad throws his guitar, which is cool, and then Chester smashes the guitar, which is awesome. And then after that, Johan smashes his like sample controlling whatever the heck thing he plays. And there's really the one original main band who invented that, destroying the set at the end of the stage, was The Who. They would always do that. They started doing it at the end of every show. It was always usually Roger Daltrey and John Entwistle, the singer and the bassist, would leave the stage. And then the guitarist and drummer, Pete Townsend and Keith Moon, would just go crazy. They would destroy all the drums, all the amps, all the guitars. And, that's the iconic imagery of the guitar smash that a lot of rock bands will rip off in the heat of the moment. They just get so crazy and wrapped up in the whole thing. I think every concert ever should end that way. I think after like a classical concert, all the violin players should just smash all of their stuff, and then that's how the finale should be. The other band who did that besides The Who was Nirvana. Nirvana kind of brought it back around again in the 90s, and they would, that way, you don't have to play an encore. If you destroy all the amps and guitars and just walk away in a feedback mess of noise, you don't have to play an encore, and the people go home because it's just feedback going on.
Clever thinking.
But there's people who hate that kind of thing, just the wastefulness. Like, why wouldn't you give that guitar to like a starving child who doesn't have a guitar? Why would you smash it every day? It's part of the art. They blow up airplanes to make movies. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's part of the show. It's kind of cool that Linkin Park figures out, that Johan can smash his like MIDI controllers and stuff to kind of bring it to the 2000s. From where Nirvana left it off in the 90s and The Who left it off in the 60s. So it's very cool that they take up that piece of like rock history and take that forward in that little moment there.
Yep. They do throw a few items here and there into the audience. So they do.
That's when it gets overboard. Yeah, when you start throwing stuff in, bands do that. Bands will throw a guitar into the audience. That's a little overboard.
Especially when they have a rowdy crowd like they did for this show. You got fights and stuff breaking out.
But smashing the set, that's there's no better encore than that. I don't know what else to say.
I think it is interesting they didn't end with In the End or a different song choice as opposed to A Place for My Head or A Place for My Head or One Step Closer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually kind of gets washed out in the end, but still, the whole album I think works out well. Vocals are good. They use samples when they have to, but we see Mike do a wide range of instruments, and we see all his talents. I think this is a great live performance, a great live CD, a great live visual to watch. I enjoy it.
Yeah, this was a blast. I think if we do more of their live DVDs, I bet you it gets better. I don't know how many other DVDs there are necessarily, but I just know, like I was saying at the beginning, like from this point forward, they start crafting the albums with the stadium in mind. Like they're making the types of songs that will move a crowd like this. This is like them kind of bringing a metal album to that. And I just think, I consider them like stadium rock eventually. That's like a genre from like the 70s. And obviously their genre at the beginning was like nu metal and hip hop and whatever, the hybrid theory genre, whatever. But I think they ended up, you just have to consider it kind of stadium style rock music. and I think it's this is like there's like the baby steps into it. Like as fun as this was, I'm really excited now to follow that forward again and kind of go back through some more of the stuff.
I am too. I think especially their song selection was very high energy, and they did a great job. They could have even had more answer response or more play with the audience as well.
They could have done it more. They could have done it more between Chester and Mike. They could have played that up more.
Yeah. So we have a lot of growth in their live performance, but they're already a long ways along. So this is just a great piece.
Yeah, I wonder how Limp Bizkit followed that. Holy cow. I don't know. I'd be afraid to follow that if I was Limp Bizkit. I'd be afraid to follow that if I was Metallica.
I would be too.
All right, join us again where we tackle an artist's discography track by track. Check us out on all of the social medias, every single one of them. We have all of them. If you know the name of a social media, we are on there.
We'll talk to you later.
We'll talk to you later. We're going to do Collision Course next episode. See you there. Any other thoughts?
Nope, that's it.
Any other closing? You can say whatever you want.
I'm good. We're
You
on
can talk about
a collision course.
whatever you
We're on
want.
a collision course with Jay-Z.
Anything. You can talk about anything here.
Anything.
It's safe here.
The safe space.
It could be Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm.
It can be Fort Minor, maybe.
The Linkin Park.
Probably not. Maybe Linkin Park. Maybe
Fort Minor.
it can be anything you want.
Fort Minor.
As long as it's
That was
Linkin
a
Park
good-
or Fort Minor.